讓我哋用最熱烈嘅掌聲有請 New Skin 全球營養補充品研究及開發副總裁白里曼博士 ，Let's welcome Mark。同時亦請出翻譯員 Helen 為我哋作即時翻譯。
大家好。New Skin Age Lock, what is it?
New Skin Age Lock 係咩嚟嘅呢？
And why did they ask a scientist to come and explain that to you?
點解佢哋要請一個科學家嚟到呢度同你哋解釋呢？
So we know that Age Lock is something that we call our brand and we name our products after it.
Age Lock 咧就係我哋嘅品牌啦，而我哋嘅產品咧亦都係用佢嚟命名嘅。
But there's much more to Age Lock. Age Lock is a scientific approach.
但係唔單止咁樣喎 ，Age Lock 咧其實係一個科學嘅方法嚟嘅。
Now I noticed there are a lot of new people here tonight.
我知道今晚咧有好多新嘅人嚟咗啦。
So my talk tonight is especially for you.
所以今晚我呢個演講咧就係特別為你哋而設嘅。
I'm going to explain the philosophy behind the science that is Age Lock.
我咧就將會去解釋下呢一個 Age Lock 科學背後嘅理念同埋哲學係點樣。
And then I'll describe how we use that science to create products.
然後咧我就會解釋我哋點樣利用呢一個科學嚟到製造產品。
So first of all, the philosophy of Age Lock.
首先呢，就係 Age Lock 嘅科技先，同埋呢一個哲學。
Age Lock simply means targeting the sources of aging.
Age Lock 嘅意思咧就係直擊老化根源。
We're not just interested in covering up the signs and the symptoms.
我哋咧就唔單止淨係對於佢嘅科學同埋一啲嘅表徵有興趣嘅。
So let me give you an example.
嗱，我可以舉個例子。
As we start to age, what is one of the first things that we feel?
當我哋開始年紀大嘅時候咧，我哋第一樣嘢會感覺到點樣呢？
That's right, we start to feel tired, right?
冇錯啦，我哋開始會感覺到好攰啦。
The best thing to do is drink a lot of coffee.
最好嘅咧就係飲好多咖啡啦。
Even better, like the young people, drink Red Bull, right?
更好咧就係好似啲年青人咁飲紅牛啊，係咪啊？
Now, is that going to change the rate at which you age?
但係咁樣可唔可以改變你老化嘅速度呢？
No. If you look at this target here, the Red Bull and the coffee, they are just covering up the signs and the symptoms.
嗱，如果大家睇下呢一個圖咧，其實飲咖啡又好，飲紅牛又好咧，都只不過係遮蓋咗佢背後嗰個科學同埋一啲表徵嘅啫喎。
If you want to target the sources of aging, you need to use real science.
咁如果真係想直擊老化根源咧，就要用真正嘅科學啦。
Real science will help you understand what is the cause and how you might be able to change it.
如果係利用真正嘅科學咧，就會幫你明白究竟真正嘅原因係啲乜嘢，同埋幫到你可以改變佢啦。
Now, our body is made up of trillions of cells.
我哋嘅身體咧係由數以萬應該話數以億萬計嘅細胞咧係形成嘅。
And as the cells start to misbehave as we age, so does our body. Sorry.
當我哋開始老化嘅時候咧，如果我哋嘅細胞嘅表現唔好啦，咁當然啦，我哋嘅身體亦都隨之咧係會出現問題啦。
So we could study the cells.
咁所以我哋就要研究細胞。
But there's something further upstream than the cell.
但係其實細胞之上啊，喺細胞嘅上游仲有另外一啲嘢嘅喎。
The genes actually control the behavior of the cell.
其實就係基因咧，就係控制細胞嘅行為嘅。
So here's a cartoon of a cell.
呢度見到一個細胞嘅圖畫。
And you can see in the inside of the cell the nucleus.
咁喺呢個細胞中間咧就係有細胞核啦。
That's where the genes are.
咁呢度咧就係基因所在嘅地方。
So let's look closer.
我哋再埋啲睇啦。
Because people get confused. They hear three words at least: chromosomes, DNA, genes.
嗱，好多時啲人咧就會混淆嘅，因為呢度你見到三個詞：染色體啦、DNA 啦同埋基因。
The chromosome is just the spools that are that the DNA is wrapped around.
嗱，其實染色體係啲咩咧？就係一卷一卷咧，就係DNA 咧，就係咁樣一卷一卷包住佢嘅。
If you unravel the strand of DNA from the chromosome, then you see this long strand.
如果你將外面捲住一卷一卷螺旋形嘅呢啲 DNA 拆開咧，咁你就會見到入邊好長好長嘅一條鏈啦。
And along sections of that long strand of DNA are genes.
咁喺呢條咁長嘅 DNA 鏈上面咧，就係分段一段一段咧，咁呢啲就係基因啦。
And these aren't just strings.
呢啲咧唔單止係一條條線一條條鏈喎。
Along the strand is information. There are letters and there are words.
嗱喺呢一啲嘅鏈上面咧，其實就有好多資料㗎，有字母啦，有字嘅。
Now, 50 years ago, we discovered the shape of DNA.
喺50年前呢，我哋就發現咗 DNA 嘅形狀。
But something great happened just this century.
喺呢一個世紀咧，有一啲好偉大嘅事情發生咗啦。
After billions of dollars and about 20 years, we have finally sequenced the entire human genome.
好啦，咁喺20年之後，而且咧仲係投資咗咧係數十億元落去之後咧，咁我哋就真真正正可以將人類嘅基因圖譜咧係排列到出嚟啦。
That means now we know all of the letters and the words in the right order.
咁即係話咧，我哋而家咧就知道晒正確嘅次序嘅字母同埋啲字點樣排列法啦。
And we know that there are about 25,000 sections or genes of the DNA.
而家咧，我哋就知道喺 DNA 上面咧，其實總共有25,000段，亦都即係25,000個基因嘅。
This is huge because this is the book of life.
呢個咧就係非常之龐大嘅，因為呢個咧就等於好似係我哋生命之書咁樣啊。
Now, to give you a sense of how much information is there,
究竟入邊係包含幾多資料嘅咧？
25,000 genes,
我哋講緊25,000個基因，
1 billion words.
其實入邊咧係含有10億個字啊。
How much is a billion words?
10億個字有幾多咧？
Okay, let's say you're not New Skin distributors anymore, you have a new job.
假設你唔再係 New Skin 嘅直銷商，你有一份新嘅工作喎。
Your job is to sit in a room and read the genetic code.
你嘅工作咧就係坐喺間房度，要睇呢一啲基因嘅密碼。
You need to read one word per second, 8 hours a day.
你咧就要每秒鐘睇一個字，而且每日要睇8個小時喎。
It will take you 100 years to read the book.
你需要100年咁長先至可以睇完本書啊！
And all of that information is inside the nucleus of every single cell in your body.
而所有呢啲資料，所有呢啲字咧，其實就喺晒我哋嘅細胞裡面嘅細胞核啦。
That makes an 8 gigabyte thumb drive seem pretty weak, doesn't it?
如果咁樣咧，令到我哋平時嗰啲記憶嗰啲手指棒啊，就算係8G嗰啲咧，都好似好渣啫。
So, this is what maybe one gene looks like. There's all the language there.
嗱，一個基因可能睇上嚟咧就係咁樣噶啦，有晒所有呢啲語文喺度嘅。
And when we sequence the human genome,
當我哋進行人類基因圖譜嘅排列嘅時候呢，
we thought things would change very fast, that now we'd be able to cure lots of man's diseases.
我哋咧就認為其實事情咧真係可以改變得好快啊！而家我哋已經可以咧係治癒好多好多人類嘅疾病啦。
But actually the news has been very disappointing on that front.
但係其實喺呢一方面呢，而家我哋得到嘅消息咧都係令人失望嘅喎。
Now, before you get too mad at the scientists and think that they're being lazy and they can't solve the problem fast enough,
嗱，當你咧就開始對啲科學家失去耐性啦，覺得佢哋咁渣㗎、咁懶㗎，都解決唔到問題嘅。喺咁諗之前，
I want to help you understand the problem.
我想幫你哋咧去明白個問題嘅。
It's like this, the hieroglyphics.
其實就係好似咁樣，呢個咧就係羅塞塔石碑。
In the 1700s, when the explorers discovered Egypt and the pyramids and the temples,
當喺1700年代啊，當開始發現到埃及嘅嗰啲神廟啊、金字塔啊同埋呢啲石碑嘅時候呢，
they saw these hieroglyphics written everywhere, even on the tombs.
佢哋見到啊，就算喺墳墓墓碑上面呢，都有呢一種文字呢刻喺上邊喎。
Nobody could read it, nobody could understand it.
但係冇人能夠睇得明係咩意思。
The best we could do is record it all and catalog it all.
咁我哋最多咧都只能夠係做到啲咩咧？就係將佢記錄低啦，同埋將佢咧係編成唔同嘅目錄啫。
That's what we've done as we've sequenced the human genome.
嗱，當我哋去幫人類嘅基因圖譜排列嘅時候呢，我哋就係做咗呢一樣嘢啦。
But there's so much information, how do we translate that into something useful?
但係有咁多資料，我哋點樣可以將佢翻譯成有用嘅資訊呢？
Now, in the 1700s, they had some brilliant linguists.
嗱，喺1700年代嘅時候呢，就有啲好叻、即係非常之專業嘅一啲語言學家啦。
I'm kind of a geek, so I have a favorite linguist.
咁其實呢，我自己呢都係有一個我好中意嘅語言學家，因為其實我都好中意讀書㗎。
And his name was Jean-François Champollion,
佢嘅名呢就係 Jean-François Champollion 啦，
a Frenchman.
係一個法國人嚟嘅。
That's French.
呢啲就係法文啊。
By the time Jean-François was 12 years old, he could already read and write fluently in ancient Latin and Greek.
當呢一位 Jean-François 12歲嘅時候呢，佢已經可以呢就係讀得明同埋寫一啲嘅古代嘅語文啊，包括係拉丁文啊、希臘文啊咁樣。
By the time he was 16, he could speak more than a dozen ancient languages.
到佢16歲嘅時候呢，佢已經可以講到10幾種古代嘅語言咯。
He, like others, were obsessed with trying to translate the hieroglyphics.
佢呢就好似其他人一樣呢，佢就好沉迷於呢係想能夠翻譯到呢啲羅塞塔石碑上面嘅文字。
Everything changed when some men from Napoleon's army were digging around the Nile Delta.
好啦，咁事情就開始有變化啦，就係當拿破崙軍隊裏邊嗰啲人呢，就開始係去發掘咧尼羅河三角洲裏邊嘅嘢嗰陣時，
They found this.
佢哋就發現咗呢樣嘢喎。
Have you heard of the Rosetta Stone?
大家有冇聽過羅塞塔石碑呢？
It had 3 languages written on it.
上邊其實有3種語言刻咗喺度㗎。
The same thing was written in ancient Greek and Coptic and hieroglyphics.
好啦，其實呢3種語言呢，其中一種呢就係包括咗古希臘語言啦，同埋科特普語言嘅。
So this Napoleon immediately said, put this in a FedEx box.
拿破崙呢就即刻話啦，不如將呢樣嘢呢擠落去呢一個快遞嘅箱度啦。
And send it to
就將佢送去邊度呢？
Jean-François Champollion.
Jean-François Champollion.
Right, and within 1 year, with this Rosetta Stone, Jean-François was able to help us decipher the code.
喺1年之內啊，就係睇呢一塊羅塞塔石碑咧 ，Jean-François 就已經可以幫我哋咧係解碼啦。
I'm here to tell you that as far as the genes and aging are concerned,
嗱，我咧今日就要話俾你聽，關於基因同埋老化呢方面呢，
we have our very own Jean-François Champollion,
我哋自己都有一個 Jean-François Champollion 嘅喎，
and we also have a Rosetta Stone.
我哋亦都有一塊羅塞塔石碑嘅。
This is Dr. Richard Weindrich.
呢位就係魏德里博士啦，
He is a gerontologist,
佢呢就係一位咧老年疾病學家嚟㗎。
and he has been studying the aging process for more than 30 years.
佢咧已經係超過30年咧不斷咁研究老化呢個過程㗎啦。
You've probably seen some of his amazing work with monkeys, right?
可能你哋都有見過佢咧一啲係處理猴子方面嘅工作啦，同埋研究嘅。
You see, he's not just studying how they age, he's trying to understand how to slow the aging process.
佢唔單止係研究緊呢，佢哋點樣老化喎，仲係睇下點樣可以減慢呢個老化嘅速度㗎。
But his life changed when he met this man here, Thomas Proller.
佢嘅生命呢，就係自從遇上咗以下呢位男士之後呢，就改變咗啦，就係彭洛圖博士。
Thomas Proller is a cancer geneticist.
彭洛圖博士呢，就係一位呢係專係研究癌症嗰方面嘅遺傳學嘅。
He always wanted to work in the area of genetics and aging.
佢一路呢都係好想致力呢係喺基因啦、遺傳學啦同埋老化方面工作嘅。
But there are no labs that were working in the area of genetics and aging.
但係喺遺傳學、基因同埋係老化呢方面呢，就一直都冇實驗室喎。
So when he started a lab at the Wisconsin University where Weindrich was,
好啦，咁當佢咧喺威斯康辛大學裏面咧就係開設一個咁樣嘅實驗室嘅時候呢，
he introduced Weinrich to this new technology for genetics.
佢咧就係發明咗或者引入咗呢一個新嘅科技啦，喺呢一個遺傳基因嗰方面嘅呢一個學科裏面。
This is the gene chip.
呢個咧就係基因晶片。
The gene chip can measure the work output of all 25,000 genes in one experiment.
呢一個基因晶片咧，可以喺一個實驗裏面咧，就係量度到25,000個基因咧，佢嗰個嘅工作同埋佢嘅產出係啲乜嘢嘅。
I need to pause for a moment and help you understand what is gene expression.
好啦，我而家要停一停，希望你哋咧明白咩叫做基因表達。
The DNA code, that strand that you saw in the picture, is fixed for life.
嗱，頭先你哋喺圖片中見到嗰個一圈一圈嘅 DNA 鏈呢，其實咧佢上面嘅編碼咧就係一生，我哋終生係固定咗啦。
The writing does not change,
上面嘅字咧係唔會改變嘅，
but the way that your body and the cells read the writing does change.
但係究竟我哋嘅身體同埋細胞係點樣去閱讀呢一啲嘅字嘅話咧，就係會改變嘅喎。
Your body can sort of choose which genes it needs to really pay attention to and which ones to ignore.
你嘅身體咧其實係識得選擇咧，係要去注意邊一啲基因，邊一啲基因咧就可以係唔理嘅。
That's what the gene chip measures, how much activity each of the genes have.
嗱，基因晶片咧就係量度呢樣嘢啦，就係每一個基因嗰個活動量係去到幾多咧咁樣。
So here's what Proller proposed to Weinrich.
咁彭博士呢，於是就向魏博士咧就建議以下呢一樣嘢啦。
Let's compare the gene expression of young individuals with the gene expression of old individuals.
嗱，不如我哋比較下啦，就係年青人同埋老年人佢哋嗰個基因表達係點嘅呢？
Let's identify the genes that change as you age.
我哋不如嚟辨識一下，究竟當我哋係老化嘅時候啦，咁有邊啲基因係會改變嘅呢？
At this point, there is a big paradigm change.
就喺呢個時間呢，喺我哋嘅觀念上面呢，就有一個大嘅轉移啦。
Because what they have done now is given us the ability to measure aging at the genetic level.
因為佢哋就係令到我哋有能力咧，可以喺基因嘅水平、基因嘅層次上面咧嚟到去量度老化嘅。
Remember that, measuring aging at the genetic level.
嗱，要記住呢點喎，就係喺基因嘅層面上面去量度老化。
It was about this time that Nuskin discovered what Weinrich and Proller were doing.
就喺呢個時間呢 Nuskin 就發現咗魏博士同彭博士佢哋做緊咩嘢喎？
And we invited them to our offices in Provo and asked them to share with us their science.
而我哋咧就邀請咗佢哋去我哋嘅辦公室，同我哋分享下佢哋嘅科學啦。
At that time, we knew we had something big.
喺嗰陣時咧，我哋就知道，有啲大嘅嘢出現啦。
Because once you can measure something, then you can change it.
因為當你一可以量度到一樣嘢嘅時候呢，你就可以有機會改變佢啦。
And here's another shift that happened then. So most of us sort of feel that we are stuck with our DNA, right?
嗱，好啦，呢度咧又有另外一個觀念上面嘅轉變啦。我哋大部分嘅人呢都覺得我哋嘅 DNA 固定咗㗎啦，我哋都冇得喐㗎啦。
The old way of thinking is, well, you know, I just can't help being handsome because my father is handsome.
舊嘅思維咧就覺得，我咁靚仔冇辦法㗎，因為我爸爸咁靚仔啊嘛。
I got lucky.
因為我好運咯。
Or otherwise, it's, well, you know, my dad, he didn't age too well. He died at a young age, and I'm probably going to do the same.
又或者另外一個可能性就係，我爸爸老化得唔係咁好啊，佢咧比較早咧就過身啦，可能我都會係咁樣都唔定喎。
But the new way of thinking, based on new science,
但係新嘅思維方法就係建基於新嘅科學，
is that we can train our bodies to read the right genes.
我哋可以訓練我哋嘅身體咧去閱讀適合嘅基因嘅。
Gene expression is very important.
基因表達咧係非常重要嘅。
If you can measure aging at the genetic level, maybe we can change it.
如果真係可以喺基因層面度去量度老化咧，咁可能我哋可以改變呢樣嘢都唔定喎。
Okay, so for the new people here, I'm going to keep telling you, you don't have to be scientists to be excited about age lock.
好啦，如果你哋係新加入嘅話呢，咁我要話俾你知啦，你呢唔需要係科學家先至可以對 age lock 覺得興奮嘅喎。
Let's imagine you're leaving the hall tonight and you're in an elevator with someone that works here at the exposition center.
嗱，或者我哋幻想下，今晚你離開嘅時候，當你搭緊升降機嘅時候呢，你就碰上另外一個呢喺呢一個展貿中心工作嘅人喎。
You have only 3 floors to explain age lock to them.
你只係得3層樓嘅時間去向佢解釋 age lock 啫。
The doors are closing. What are you going to say?
好啦，到 lift 門而家閂啦，你會講咩呢？
Well, first of all, did you know age lock targets the source of aging, not the signs and symptoms?
首先，你知唔知道 age lock 呢就係直擊老化嘅源頭，而唔係淨係去處理佢嗰個一啲嘅表徵啊咁樣㗎。
Did you know that age lock, what was my thought? Gee, the elevator is about to open. What's next?
弊啦，我下一樣嘢應該講咩呢？個 lift 門就嚟又打開㗎咯喎。
Did you know that age lock is based on science that can measure aging at the genetic level?
你知唔知道 age lock 呢就係建基於科學，而呢種科學呢就可以喺基因嘅層面去量度老化㗎。
That should get them interested, right?
嗱，咁樣講嘅，咁係咪都好有趣呢？係咪呢？
That's the sound of the elevator doors opening.
好啦，lift門打開嘅聲音啦，叮一聲啦。
Okay, a little bit more. What is age lock in a nutshell?
好啦，講多少少咯喎，究竟 age lock 即係咩呢？
At the more scientific, deeper level,
係一個更加科學化、更深入嘅層面。
first we identify the genes that change in expression as we age.
第一呢，我哋就要辨識，就係當我哋老化嘅時候呢，有邊一啲基因佢個表達係會改變嘅。
And step 2 is screen for ingredients, healthy ingredients, that might shift that expression back to a pattern of youth.
第二呢，我哋就要揾出一啲嘅成分呢，係可以將呢一個頭先所講嗰個表達嘅改變呢，將佢轉移翻去年青嗰個狀況喎。
That's what age lock is.
呢個就係 age lock 啦。
Now, who does the work?
咁究竟邊一個去做嘅工作呢？
LifeGen, of course, have pioneered this great technology to measure aging at the genetic level.
咁當然啦 ，LifeGen 呢就係一個先鋒啦，佢呢就係首先係創立咗呢一種科學，能夠喺基因嘅水平去量度老化嘅。
It's based on more than 30 years of experience in genetics and anti-aging.
咁係建基於呢係超過30年啦，喺遺傳學啦、基因老化呢方面嗰個經驗同埋研究嘅。
They have several patents and lots of published papers.
佢哋呢係有幾項專利啦，同埋有好多發布咗嘅論文嘅。
For Nu Skin side, we have some great expertise as well.
而 New Skin 呢，我哋亦都有啲好精彩、好好嘅專業知識嘅喎。
For more than 26 years, we have become experts in anti-aging ingredients.
我哋超過26年嘅經驗呢，就係喺抗衰老嘅一啲成分嗰方面嘅。
We've discovered several of them just right down the road at our Shanghai lab.
其實呢，我哋喺上海我哋嗰個實驗室裏面呢，都已經係發現咗幾項嘅咯。
So together we make a great team.
所以加埋一齊呢，我哋就係好叻嘅團隊啦。
And this is the science and the technology that enables us to produce products that are different to many of the other products that are out there.
而呢一個呢，就係我哋有嘅科學同埋係科技呢，可以令到我哋係製造一啲產品係同所有喺市場裏面其他嘅產品係唔同嘅。
Now I could stop right now because I think you have all of the information that you really need.
好啦，其實我而家已經可以停止嘅咯，因為我相信你哋都已經有晒你需要嘅資料啦。
But I think I'll talk a little bit more science with you, okay?
但係我諗我都係講多少少科學啦。
I can't resist.
我都係抵抗唔到呢個誘惑嘅。
Let's go back to age lock and the feeling that we get of tiredness as we age.
嗱，我哋講翻 age lock 啦，同埋當我哋老化嘅時候呢，我哋慢慢會越嚟越覺得好攰啊。
To really target that source of aging, we need to understand how energy is produced in the cell.
為咗要去直擊呢一方面老化嗰個源頭呢，我哋就要了解下究竟我哋嘅精力喺細胞裏面係點樣係產生出嚟嘅呢？
So there's something else in the cell called the mitochondrion.
咁其實喺我哋嘅細胞裏面呢，仲有一樣嘢㗎，就係叫做咧線粒體嘅喎。
These are like little power plants or engines in every cell.
咁呢個係咩呢？就好似每一個細胞裏面嘅引擎同埋發電廠咁樣嘅。
They are able to combine oxygen with a fuel source and produce energy.
佢哋咧就可以係將氧氣啦同埋一啲燃料嘅來源咧混合埋一齊，就能夠形成我哋嘅精力啦。
What kind of fuel do they use?
咁用啲咩燃料嘅咧？
Petrol?
汽油。
Well, two main fuel sources are carbohydrate or sugar and fat.
兩個最主要嘅燃料嘅來源呢，就係碳水化合物或者糖啦，同埋脂肪。
I'll tell you more about that later.
咁我稍後會講多少少嘅。
But for now, we do know that as we age, the ability of our mitochondria to produce energy seems to decline.
但係我哋有一點知道呢，就係當我哋年紀大嘅時候呢，我哋呢一啲嘅線粒體去生產出精力啊能量嘅呢個能力呢，就係下降嘅喎。
Some of us know that already, even without the science, right?
咁我諗大家根本未學過、未聽過呢個科學都已經知都唔定啦。
You see, on the right here, this is a slice of a cell that has been stained for the mitochondria.
嗱喺右手面呢個圖咧，大家就係睇到我哋嘅細胞裏邊呢，呢一啲嘅粒線體線粒體其實咧就係染咗色嘅，俾大家可以睇得清楚。
We now have the technology actually to stain a living cell for mitochondria.
而家我哋已經有科技咧，就係將一個活嘅細胞裏邊嘅線粒體咧就係染色嘅。
Do you want to see that?
你想唔想睇下？
You can see the nucleus where there are no mitochondria. That's saved for the DNA.
好啦，咁大家可以睇到嗰個細胞核啦，裏邊就係個 DNA 所在啦。咁嗰度就冇線粒體嘅。
And you see that unlike the cartoon, there are actually between 200 and 500 of these mitochondria in every cell.
嗱，其實你哋可以睇得到咧，或者喺呢一個嘅動畫裏面未必睇得咁清楚，但係其實每個細胞裏邊係有200至500個呢一啲嘅線粒體嘅喎。
Isn't that amazing?
係咪好了不起咧？
Does that kind of creep you out a little bit?
會唔會覺得令到你覺得有啲毛管戙咁樣嘅感覺咧？
Okay, so I've explained that energy goes down as you age.
嗱，我啱啱解釋咗啦，當你越嚟越年紀大，你嘅能量、你嘅精力咧就開始下降啦。
Something else very important happens to the cell as you age as well.
咁仲有一樣嘢好重要嘅喺你哋嘅細胞裏邊發生嘅喎，隨住你哋嘅年紀大。
When things wear out inside the cell,
咁咧，當細胞裡面嘅嘢開始咧，即係慢慢咧就係衰弱嘅時候，
the cell needs to be able to identify the damaged or old machinery.
咁咧細胞其實就要去辨識下究竟邊一啲部分咧係已經老化啦，或者甚至係受到破壞嘅。
And it needs to either repair it or get rid of it.
咁一係咧就係進行修補，又或者直情係清除咗佢啦。
But as we age, the cell loses that ability.
但係當我哋老化嘅時候咧，細胞咧就開始係失去咗呢種能力咯。
And so older cells are actually in danger of having an accumulation of junk inside the cell.
所以咧，一啲比較年老嘅細胞咧，出現咗一個危機，就係可能入邊咧係越嚟越堆積得好多嘅廢物、好多垃圾喺入邊啦。
So our age-lock approach here is twofold. We want to approach energy in the cell and cell renewal.
所以其實 age lock 咧就有兩個方向嘅。第一咧，我哋就要處理細胞裏邊嗰個能量啦；第二咧就要處理細胞嘅更新啦。
Step one
第一步
is identify the genes that change with aging.
就要辨識下邊一啲嘅基因係會隨住老化係會改變嘅。
What's step two?
第二步係咩咧？
Reset, right?
就係重設啦，係咪？
So let me show you one experiment and how we tackled the energy side.
我俾你睇一個實驗，睇下我哋點樣處理精力嗰部分嘅。
There are about 1,000 genes that are used to create and maintain the mitochondria.
咁總共咧就係大約有1000個基因咧，就係用嚟咧就係製造出同埋係維護呢一啲嘅線粒體嘅。
Using the gene chip, we discovered that 52 of those genes change with age.
用咗呢一個基因晶片咧，我哋就發現咗有52個基因咧係隨住我哋老化嘅時候會改變嘅。
So looking at those 52 genes,
咁我哋睇呢52個基因，
we can show you a pattern of gene expression for youth and for age.
我哋可以俾到大家睇到咧嗰個年輕嘅同埋年老嘅嗰個基因表達係點樣。
So green means the cells are reading those genes, and red means that the cell is not interested in those genes.
嗱，如果咧就係綠色嘅意思咧，就係話我哋嘅細胞咧就係有喺度閱讀緊嗰啲嘅基因，紅色嘅咧就係話細胞對於嗰啲基因冇興趣啦。
Can you see the difference between young and old?
睇唔睇到年老同埋係年青之間嘅分別咧？
Okay, memorize that pattern.
嗱，你要記咗呢一個嘅圖形咯。
That's step 1.
呢個係第一步。
Step 2,
第二步，
we feed some ingredients to old individuals and see if we can change the pattern back.
我哋咧就係將一啲嘅成分咧，就係俾年老嘅即係個人啦嚟到服用，咁睇下會唔會可以將嗰個圖形咧改變翻轉頭嘅。
Typically, we'll screen about 50 or 100 ingredients.
通常咧，我哋就會係篩選大概50至到100個成分。
It takes a lot of gene chips.
咁啊，需要好多基因晶片嘅喎。
They cost about $1,000 each.
每一塊咧需要大概1000蚊嘅成本。
So this is too expensive to do at home in your kitchen.
咁所以當然啦，如果你要喺你自己屋企嘅廚房做咧，就太貴啦。
I'm going to show you 5 ingredients that were fed to old individuals, and you tell me which one works.
我俾你睇下5個成分咧，係我哋俾咗一啲老年人佢哋服用嘅，咁睇下邊一個係你覺得行得通有用嘅？
Which one?
邊一個咧？
Yeah, I gave you a big clue, didn't I?
其實我都俾咗好大個 tips 你啦。
But if you look, an old individual has now had the gene expression reset to look like a young individual.
你呢度見到咧一個老年人，佢嗰個嘅基因嘅表達咧，已經係重設，令到佢睇起上嚟咧似翻一個年青嘅人啦。
係咪好好啊？ Yeah, that's amazing.
非常之精彩，好了不起啊！
I'm going to show you what happens when you feed this ingredient to mice.
俾大家睇下，如果你將呢一個成分咧係餵俾老鼠，會點咧？
Yeah, it's important not just to look at gene expression, but to see what happens now when you have formulated these ingredients to see if they're working.
好啦，咁其實唔單止係去研究基因表達係重要喎，仲係睇下點樣去配方或者點樣去安排呢一啲嘅成分咧，睇下點樣可以令到佢真係有效㗎。
Now, if we're retuning our mitochondria and they're working better,
好啦，如果我哋係重新再去調教我哋嘅線粒體，令到佢哋係能夠運作得更加好。
then the first thing you think of course, is that maybe I can run further or faster, right?
咁第一樣嘢你會諗啊，咁梗係我可以咧就係跑得遠啲，跑得快啲啦。
And so this is mice on a treadmill with their age-lock blend, and you can see they can run longer.
嗱，咁呢度你可以睇得到啦，用咗 age-lock 嘅獨家配方之後咧，喺跑步機上面咧，的確係可以跑耐啲嘅喎。
Now, you remember earlier I talked about the 2 fuel sources for mitochondria, right?
較早前呢，我咪講過我哋嘅線粒體咧有2個燃料嘅來源嘅，
Carbohydrate and fat.
碳水化合物同埋脂肪。
This is an interesting slide.
呢個圖咧好有趣嘅。
These are well-trained mice. They can run a mini mouse marathon.
嗱，佢哋呢一啲咧就係一班咧係經過訓練嘅老鼠嚟嘅，佢哋咧可以跑一個咧就係微型嘅老鼠馬拉松嘅。
And you can measure the fuel in the muscle of the mouse before and after the run.
咁你可以咧就係量度下，就喺呢一啲老鼠嘅肌肉裡面啊嗰個燃料嘅量啊，即係喺佢哋開始跑之前同埋跑完之後嗰個水平喎。
So the bar on the left shows a mouse that has been resting today.
好啦，左手面嗰一條柱咧就係顯示咗呢一隻老鼠咧，佢今日係一直喺度休息嘅。
He has a full tank of petrol.
佢咧就成缸滿晒油啊！
after the mouse half marathon, you see he's used up half of his petrol.
好啦，當佢跑咗半馬之後咧，咁佢咧就用咗咧係半缸油啦已經。
But what about the mouse who has been eating the age-lock blend?
但係另外一隻老鼠，如果佢係用咗 Age-Lock 嘅獨家配方，咁又點呢？
If he does the same amount of work,
如果佢做一樣嘅工作，
he has more fuel still in the tank.
佢嘅油缸裡面咧仲有多啲燃料喎。
What's going on here?
究竟發生咩事呢？
Okay, the interesting thing is that young mitochondria
好有趣嘅咧，就係年輕嘅線粒體，
will choose equally from two fuel sources, fat or carbohydrate.
佢喺兩個嘅燃料來源裡面咧，佢同等都會選擇嘅，即係話咧，包括係碳水化合物同埋脂肪。
Old mitochondria seem to prefer sugar over fat.
咁所有嘅線粒體咧，似乎都係中意糖多過脂肪嘅喎。
Maybe that's one reason why, as we age, we like to keep the fat in our body.
所以可能亦都係一個原因，點解我哋年紀一路大嘅時候咧，我哋就中意將啲脂肪咧就存喺身體裡面啦。
But the main point is here, it looks like we've turned these mitochondria into ones that look like younger mitochondria.
但係呢度似乎就俾我哋睇得到咧，已經係將一啲嘅線粒體咧係轉成咗比較年輕嘅線粒體嘅狀況啦。
Now, when you think of energy, usually you do think of physical power.
當你諗精力嘅時候，一般你就會諗下你嘅身體、你嘅生理上面嗰個嘅力量啦，係咪？
But the brain is particularly sensitive to energy production.
但係其實我哋嘅腦部咧，對於能量嘅產出咧，都係非常之敏感嘅喎。
Think of your laptop computer when the power is low.
你諗下你嗰個嘅手提電腦啊，當嗰個電池個電量係低嘅時候。
In this experiment here, we used 40 human individuals.
喺呢個實驗裏邊咧，我哋用咗40個人。
And we gave them 6 quite difficult tasks that they had to perform twice a week for 12 weeks.
咁我哋咧就俾咗6個都幾艱巨嘅工作佢哋㗎。咁佢哋咧就要呢係每星期做2次，而且咧係為期12週喎。
You can see that the individuals that took the age-lock blend learned faster and at the end of 12 weeks were smarter.
好啦，你睇到咧係用咗 Age-Lock 獨家配方嘅嗰啲人呢，佢哋咧佢學習嗰個過程咧係快好多啦，而且完成晒成件事之後咧，佢哋咧亦都係成個人啊就個狀態咧都係好好多嘅喎。
Let's hear from some people that have been taking the product.
我哋聽一聽一啲咧係有用開產品嘅人佢哋嘅見證啊。
It's an amazing product. A couple weeks in, I started feeling just incredible differences. The clarity, the energy throughout the day. I got home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I was able to play with the kids.
While I've been taking R squared, I've actually had even more energy after my runs. I get done with the run and it's like the energy levels have actually increased. So I'm able to work, I'm very efficient, and I feel like I'm able to do everything better.
And there was a big difference in me too. I didn't feel that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock run down.
I'm definitely excited for when it comes out and I can be on it regularly and continue to feel that energy level and also just that good mood that it brings.
Now that I'm taking Age-Lock R squared, I feel like I have more balance in my life. I noticed at first when I was going to yoga, that night and the next day, my muscles were really feeling it. I was having a lot of muscle stiffness. But once I started taking Age-Lock R squared, I did notice a difference in how quickly I felt better and how quickly I could get back to the next yoga class.
When I first started taking this product, I was so excited because I noticed this sense of mental clarity that I didn't have before, and it helped me when I was in school focus on what was happening in class or doing my homework, and it lasted throughout the day, so I could go to a yoga class and I still could maintain that focus. And I'm just so excited to be taking this product. I can't imagine now that I've started taking it, not taking it. So I'm a lifer.
That last girl was really cute, wasn't she?
最後你見到嗰個女仔好可愛啦，係咪咧？
知唔知道啊？佢係我嘅女嚟㗎。So, I hope tonight your faith in the science of age lock has increased.
好啦，咁我希望過咗今晚之後呢，你哋對於 age lock 呢一個科學呢，嗰個信心係增加咗。
You don't have to be a scientist to be excited about age lock.
你唔需要係科學家呢，先至會對 age lock 覺得興奮嘅喎。
But if you believe and understand that the science is real,
如果你相信同埋明白呢一個科學係真實嘅，
then of course you're going to be more enthusiastic and you will have the integrity to be a great new skin distributor.
咁當然啦，你就會非常之熱衷，而且好積極，而且仲有我哋需要嘅誠信作為 New Skin 嘅直銷商啦。
謝謝大家。
多謝大家，
再次用熱烈嘅掌聲，多謝百里曼博士為我哋帶嚟嘅精彩分享。Thank you, Mark， 亦都多謝 Helen，有請兩位會座。